This is Talking My Walking. I am Rodrigo Ribeiro, just another voice in the wilderness. Today I'm going to talk about what is the purpose of the economy. I think we can all agree that the purpose of the economy should be to provide for the people, which means that we should allocate the resources available and to transform into goods and products and services that are to satisfy the needs of humans within the limits, the boundaries of the ecosystems, which means that we should have an economy that should respect life, and we can define what respect life means: the dignity of human beings, and the earth systems, which all earth systems, we have the hydrosphere, the geosphere, the atmosphere, all the biosphere. So all the systems that compose the earth system should be has to be part of the equation of what the economy is for. Because if we only believe that the economy is about making money, and then we use the money to buy the stuff we need or we desire, which means that it's not only about satisfying needs, but it's also to satisfying desires and whims, and to what can become an absurd level of unnecessary superfluous consumption. It's not an economy. It's something else. We can call it an economy, but it is not. The economy is not about balance sheets. Of course, we need to have an accounting system. We need to have rules and norms and regulations and principles and values. That is for sure. But what we need to understand, what's the purpose of them? What are the purpose of the economy? And by the way, what is the purpose of money? Why do we need money? Why do we need economics, the study of the economy? If we do not set the principles and the rules and the law system that defines with clarity what is the purpose of the economy, we end up with a system that is basically to extract wealth from people, from nature, to be accumulated by the few, by oligarchs and plutocrats in the end, or by kings, or emperors, or dictators, kleptocrats. And that's exactly what has happened, because what we believe is the economy is just a system to extract wealth, and economics, by the most part, at least orthodox economics, by the most part, is just to justify the system. A system that tries to justify inequality with the myths of meritocracy and entrepreneurship and innovation and this and that and so forth and so on. We all understand that there are basic needs that we need to satisfy in a daily basis in order to be healthy, to have a decent life, and to survive for sure. Which means that we need clean water, we need food, we need shelter, we need clothes. And besides that, in our complex societies where we have different systems and subsystems, because this is a complex society, we also need health care and education and other institutions that that guarantee order, that guarantee that there are certain, that we all are subjected to fair and just distribution and accountability. Because in the end, if we try to understand whatever system it is, it's always about distribution of power, distribution of goods and services, and accountability. This is kind of the two sides of the coin: distribution and accountability. Distribution of power and distribution of wealth, and accountability. Because otherwise, who controls the system and who controls the system? If we by controlling the system, I mean the economic system, the financial system, the political system. Of course, they control the population. They have control over everything, and that should not be. When we think about the economy, we need to think about who controls what, and by controlling is what we, or cui bono. Okay, so therefore, if we make the right questions, we start to understand what the economy is for. What are the aims of the system we have in place? You have a global system, a global economic system, and political system, and societal system. It's not that we have different systems that we know. China is communist. No, China is capitalist. China has a communist party that rules, that is the ruler of the country, but the system itself, the economic system, is capitalist. And China has a huge participation. I think it's around 30% of the global industrial output. So therefore, China is a major capitalist economy. Okay, it's not a side. It's not something. It's not that it doesn't matter. We can discuss if the Chinese capitalism or the Chinese socialism with Chinese characteristics. We can discuss it. We can discuss if the system, how it is organized, and how they control the financial system, for example, and the banking system, and the policies, the domestic policies, and also probably the policies at the level of geopolitics. They end up being generating more equality, which means a better distribution and more accountability or not. But it's still a capitalist system, which means that it is a system based on accumulation and extraction. They still exploit the workers. You cannot deny it. Okay? It's a system that is extracting value. Okay? It's a system that some are accumulating the value of the production, where all where all participate. Because when we have a system that just because you own the means of production, it seems that you are entitled to accumulate an equal amount of wealth that is extracted from labor and by the control of resources, and there is the need for a mechanism, for a societal mechanism to protect it, to make sure that it works like that, and the system itself and the ones that truly benefit with it are not defied, are not challenged. For most of us, money is what is needed to buy the stuff to satisfy our needs, and that's how we experience life, this reality, this economic and societal reality, where we grow up, where we are born, and we grow up, and we are taught, and we are instrumentalized to adapt to it. We know, we are perfectly aware that if we have money, we can always find the stuff we need. Even in the worst times, during war times, where there is real scarcity of goods and services, we always can, if you have the money, enough money to buy them, you always can find not everything, but to buy the stuff that we need or even we want. So therefore we just always attach is the goods and services not to the resources, but to the money we need to acquire them. So money becomes the driving force, becomes what we all believe, and not only believe, we experience it. We know that that's the reality. That's the reality of the system where we live. And the more commodified the system is, the more we need money, because between us and the commodity, there is the need for money to exchange for it. So, if money, in order to have money, we need to have a business, or we need to work, and most of us have to work as to sell our labor force, and in exchange for a wage. That's what most of us have to do. And of course, between Among those that work for a wage, there's a lot of differences of the not only the amount of money that we receive by the end of the week or the month or the day or whatever, but also the quality of the work, the role, our role in society, and how we are perceived by others, our value, our intrinsic value and dignity is always associated with the function or role we have, with the kind of career, profession, or even other activities that we can engage in exchange for a wage. So therefore, we have this perception about the value, the intrinsic value of the human life, intrinsic value and dignity of human life associated both at the same time with the amount of money we make, but also with the social recognition and validation of the activity of the role and function or task that we perform in our society. So we need to understand this in economic terms. Why should we have an economy that values, that is this kind of this hierarchical value system that is many times or most of the time dissociated with the real needs and the intrinsic value of what we do to society, of the positive of what we do to society, which means that a money-based reward system, okay, an economic, a money-based reward economic system is not it is not just, because the value of the job, the profession, is not necessarily how it is useful or how it benefits society, but it has other layers, and those layers always are associated with what I referred before, which is accountability and distribution, and how important accountability and distribution is in an economic system, because it is about who gets what and why. Okay, it's not about fairness, it's not about competition, it's not about cooperation, it's not about meritocracy, it's about who gets what and why. To fit in a certain, in a class or caste based system that dictates the marching orders from the top, which means the system itself is designed by those who control who control it. And of course, it is crucial to understand this, because if we are part of the many, which most of us are, that's the reality of those that work for a very limited wage, that sometimes it's not even enough to have to enjoy a life with dignity, to fulfill the basic needs. And by basic needs, I also include what I said before, the services, which means the health services, education, and other benefits of living in a complex society that can produce and allocate this kind of services. Who controls them? That's the problem. And for what purpose, again? If the purpose is not to serve the public, for the common, the collective well-being, what are they for then? For wealth accumulation and power and control. This is very simple. Actually, this is very simple. We just don't need to... What's the problem with us is that we are told stories. For example, if there was not this manufacture scarcity, this system based on manufacture scarcity, which means that some people control the means of production, control the land, they control. So it means that we went through a process of the enclosure of the commons, and we just only have one thing to sell, which is our labor force, manual labor force or intellectual labor force or whatever, it doesn't matter. Some sort of experience or expertise or whatever. And that we are told there are many stories, many narratives that try to justify and to normalize. That's the only way. There are stories in many levels, and that they tell us that how we would not work if we would all, for example, that's what people that are against the universal basic income, doesn't matter, it's not what I'm going to discuss. I'm just saying that people always have this idea that if you would have money, you would not work. That is at the same time true and false, because it's kind of not everybody. There are people surely that they will not work at all. There are also people that want to work because they need it. It's just how they feel how to participate in society, and so therefore it is a false claim that we would not work if it was not for money. First, what we need is not the money. What we need is the resources, is the goods and products and services, is the food, is the shelter, is the clean water, is the energy that we need in a daily basis to survive, to feed ourselves, to feed our children, and so on and so forth. So the money is not what we should understand, that it's not the money that we need. We need the things. We need the services. The money is just the way to keep us, to make sure that we submit ourselves, or in order to survive. I am not against the existence of money. What we need to know about money is that is a representation. Okay, money can be used as a unit of account and a medium of exchange. and it can benefit us and make life much easier. But when we start to use money as a store of value, that is already wrong, because then it means that if we give how does inequality grows? Inequality grows because when you are able to use money as a store of value, those who make more money out of their labor, again, it doesn't matter how useful the labor it is for society, because it is very easy to debunk it. Those who receive more, it doesn't mean that what they do, the work they do, the role they play, they might play a role or have a function in society that is important for those who rule us, because they become accomplices of a system that is exploitative and extractive, that extracts and exploits in order to accumulate at the top. And if you always associate this kind of talk of rhetoric as communistic and socialistic and this and that, you are wrong, because this is not communist or socialist. This is realism. This is how the reality of our economy and societies and politics works. And of course, it preys on those of us. The lower you are in the social ladder, socioeconomic ladder, and socio-professional ladder, the more you are exploited. That's how it works. There is two ways to accumulate wealth. One is through rents, and rents can be just out of financial schemes that we have today, that they make money out of money, and they do nothing, they produce nothing. They just leverage debt. And that's how these people, these plutocrats and oligarchs make most of their money. It's not about producing goods and services and being useful to society. And around them, there is a whole class of professionals and workers and that benefit with this system. Especially the 10% of the population, we could say the upper class or the middle upper class. They are the ones that help the 1% and the 0.1% to control society. And this is what you call economy. This is not an economy. This is a parasitic rentier system that just makes us, most of us, the large majority of us, poor and poorer, more insecure, more uncertainty in our lives, more precarity. So we are being abused and exploited and transformed and turned into a useless class. And they call it and then we go back to economics, at least for orthodox economics, or what they call neoclassic economics, is just they exist to justify this order. This is a manufactured order, is not a natural order, and that's the distinction you need to understand. We all need to understand it. And that's why when we accept money, when money is normalized as a store of value, of course, it's just a matter of time in a class caste-based society with the kind of hierarchical order we have, and that adding up a debt-based system, which is capitalism, that needs to expand and expand it's in order to survive. It's just a matter of time to create millionaires and billionaires, to create an oligarchic or a plutoligarchy, and then the rest of the ladder, the economic ladder, professional economic ladder, is just to have accomplices that are rewarded in order to guarantee the existing order. So there are many from the it is the participation of the professional managerial class, which is the most important class for them, for those on the top. But we have also the military, and we have the order forces, the forces that are supposed to keep social order, which we know. And I don't say they should not exist or not. It's not about that. It's just about the distribution of power is always, and the accountability is always related with the distribution of wealth. We cannot understand one without understanding the other. The more the distribution of wealth, the more inequality, the worse we will be. And now we have become to the point where we don't even know how to organize to revolt. We talk a lot and we organize and unite and organize very little, because we are so fragmented, so divided, so tribalized, polarized, that we feel that we feel impotent, that we don't know. We just know that there is nothing we can do to change anything, to change the existing order. And the thing is, we all are, and that's the problem. So the problem always boils down to our deep beliefs that run in our subconscious minds, where they come from, how they got planted in our minds and become part of our identity, of our socio-cultural identity. Okay? And what we believe money is, what we believe money does, what's the role of money in the economic system, whether we ignore it, what's the role of banks and financial institutions, and all the rest, macroeconomics, and all the rest is important because it does influence how your choices, your worldviews, how we relate to each other, which means that it is important for our social or how we organize ourselves and relate to each other, in the sense, can we have an economy can we have what I call a sufficiency and reciprocity economy or not? Can we understand and learn? Can we learn that's what the economy is about? The economy is not about making money. Making money is for another. Making money is it is a way to generate inequality, as I said before. And this is a very important point, because then if you have a system where people where what people receive as compensation, as reward for what they contribute to society, can be so hugely different, and it has been increasing for several decades, especially in the Western countries, where the ones on the top, the CEOs and other, they are receiving much more. I mean, several times more than they used to. Sometimes for just being bastards, just being bastards, just being mean to the working class. Which means extracting more and more from those that are in a weak position, that if they not organize, if they don't unite, they cannot fight back. That's how it works. And then you just have the money as a means to generate social inequality, to which means that to allow the accumulation of wealth and concentration of power and control at the top of the hierarchy. This is pretty simple to understand. And we should stop making excuses, and by believing this, and trust the stories and narratives that come from those that in one way or another benefit with the existing system, and while what they do is to exploit us and make us poor and deprive us of the means to live with dignity. That's what the system does. When money is normalized as a medium of as storage of value, we need to just think about that. Money as store of value, okay? Then we have the enclosure of the commons, and we have manufactured scarcity, and the distribution of power. How do we believe that the distribution of wealth and power in a caste-based society will end up? Of course, there is the need for a narrative that justifies this inequality, and that's why meritocracy is very important. Meritocracy is a very important concept and value system to justify this existing order. And if you buy into it, again, we should understand that there are merit. The merit exists and needs to be rewarded, and we can find a way to reward merit without creating a meritocratic system that just is about convincing us that inequality is just the result of people that do not work hard enough, or do not have the skill, or do not develop the skills, or whatever, are not entrepreneurial enough, or whatever. That's why they are poor. That's why they are punished, because they don't have what is necessary to compete in what we are supposed to perceive as a fair and balanced system, the so-called free market system, as if there is a level playing field, which is not the case by any means. And when they give you examples of individuals or of companies or corporations or organizations or whatever that become successful out of their hard work and the capacity to innovate and this and that, they are using exceptions to justify the rule. They are exactly doing the opposite. They are trying to convince you that you also can become part of that. We also, all of us, could become like them, because if they could, why don't we? That's the question. And we, instead of trying to understand that is implausible, it is inconceivable, that cannot happen, that could not ever happen, because it's not how the system works, by exclusion, by making the rule kind of the winner gets it all. That's what it is about. It's not about it being fair, or equal opportunities, or this and that. No, don't trust the people that tell you these stories. Not because they are trying, they might not be intentionally lying, but in the end it's the same. They are instrumentalizing us with the wrong stories, with stories that are not correct. They might not be total lies, that's the point, but they are not correct. They mislead us. They make us have the wrong conception and the fake perception, which is the same for those that want to instrumentalize us to better use us, to make it easier for them to use us. So this is not how the economy is supposed to work. That's not the purpose of the economy. The purpose of the economy is to satisfy the needs of society. The purpose of the economy is for the collective well-being. That's why when I think about the economy, what is the purpose of the economy, what the economy should be, the economy needs to be, what I think about when I think about the economy, I think about a sufficiency and reciprocity economy. There's so many definitions, the donut economy, the circular economy, this and that, and so forth and so on, which is valid. That everything is valid for a discussion, and that's not bad at all. But in my opinion, in my humble opinion, we need to start from these 2 points: sufficiency and reciprocity. And of course, And there is a third principle, which is equality. But then we need to make it to build trust. We need trust and justice and truth. All these works in a relation, in a symbiotic, is a symbiotic process. It needs to be. It needs to work together. And because we need to build some sort of system, or of ideological and cultural system and political system and economic system that we all to a certain extent can agree. I mean, we don't need to agree 100%. But at least we should try hard, instead of focusing ourselves in people, which means that we always think like that we have to it's not about, or to Marx, or to, so we always refer to people. That's why we have Marxism, that's why we have this and have that. Is it important? Yes, it's important. These people have good ideas, there are principles and values that are necessary, and there is the need to people to think about them. That's so we need the people, but we should not be focused in following, because it's not about the people, it's about the ideas, and we can use the ideas because otherwise we just become stuck, and we do not. I'm not talking about it's not about making things. It's relative. It doesn't matter. Marxism. No, it's not what I'm trying to say. I'm just trying to say that people are flawed. We as individuals are always flawed. So we need each other critical capabilities, analytic capabilities to find other people's flaws. As we need the knowledges of experience, so as we are, as I always say, that we all are bits and pieces of other people's knowledge and experience. But again, it's not from a single source. It has to be from a multitude of sources, of people, because we are not we as complex systems, as complex living systems, and with this capability of using symbolic languages and creative imagination, and we build and we communicate through narratives, which is make stories that we make up, and those stories, they might be fact based, okay, they might, but even based on facts, they are always limited. We cannot perceive them as giving us the entire perception of the reality from one single source. So that's why we need to have a holistic perception of reality, and not being focused on people, but on ideas and values and principles. And that's why if we are able to really come to the point where we can find some sort of universal principles and values and rules for an economy, for what I call, I'm not pretending that is the right thing, but I think it could be a principle, sufficiency and reciprocity, because it has always what it has been that has been always the base for the survival of the communities, the human communities. So most of the time of the human history, It has been about that. It has not been about controlling resources or privatizing resources or wealth accumulation in the individual hands. Because every time the culture goes that way, is because it's controlled by psychopathic and sociopathic and the narcissistic people. And that's why we have end up with this system that is a dehumanized system that relies on dehumanizing us. And we need to emphasize this point, because we might be very educated and sophisticated in science, technology, philosophy, arts, whatever. But we are being dehumanized because by making us become focused on the pursuit of self-interest and money, and putting money at the center, the accumulation of wealth and private property, we need to dehumanize us. This is the reality. Okay? So this is not the economy. This is a system of to perception, manipulation, to manufacture consent, that the existing order and the existing system which is the imperialistic civilization, can be kept forever. And in our case, it's about the hegemony, about the preservation of the Western imperialistic civilization order, which we can call now the Pax Americana. And we need to think, connect all these dots in order to really understand that to challenge the existing system, we need to understand the roots, the pillars, the structural pillars, ideological and cultural and political, of what we call the economy, in order to have a different understanding of what is the economy and what is the purpose of the economy. Okay? So, I'm going to end it here for today. Thanks for listening. I will be back soon.